Hi, I'm Nick Gillespie with Reason. Thanks for coming, everybody, and I hope everybody enjoyed the movie this afternoon. If it was your first time seeing it, or a couple people, it was their fourth or fifth. Congratulations. What we're gonna do tonight is we've got three producers, one visionary and one actor. We're gonna talk real quickly. I'm gonna throw a question at each of you, and then we're gonna open it up because I know that everybody here has tons of questions, and we'll try and get through stuff as quickly as possible. I'm going to start with John Aglialoro, the person who owned the rights, who put everything in motion. John, can you set the scene for us, and was it a Randian moment when you said, you read this book, you envisioned a movie, and then you said, okay, this is it, we're going forward, period?
Well, the rights were coming to an end, and I always thought it was going to be someone else's issue, someone else's problem. Someone else's challenge. And then when I realized that there was a moment, we have a beach house in Avalon, New Jersey, and I was just walking on the beach and I said, this book, this movie, what Ayn Rand would have wanted, it's a liberation of the human spirit.
And it's even more touching that you probably said that as medical waste was washing up on your feet.
But you have to get,
yeah.
You know, but it was sunset.
Yeah. So.
And the light was perfect.
Yeah, and I was going to say on the East Coast it was already dark.
Yeah, and I was already there.
Beach, but no, well, and you had the rights for how long?
Since August of 1992.
Yeah. So this is, well, congratulations. I mean, you made it happen, and we're going to, you know. Harmon Kaslow, you know, I think somebody like John Huston had it easier because he only was trying to film the Bible. How do you, you know, what is your, you know, how do you approach a book, you know, and obviously it's already split into 3 parts, you know, and that's just the first part of John Galt's radio address, so, you know, we're looking at the prequel here, but how do you go about condensing this material, even knowing you're going to be making a series of movies?
Well, first off, that responsibility didn't really fall on my shoulders, but what was important for John and me at the outset was really, you know, how to manage our ambition within all of the constraints that we had, which was really, you know, trying to do it for the right amount of money, and we had this ticking clock that we had to observe, or it would all be for naught. And so it was really about finding somebody who could collaborate with John in coming up with some sort of cinematic thread through the book. It became apparent very early on that there was no way we had the time to be able to consider a full adaptation of the book. So originally we were just talking about just getting to, you know, the bridge sequence, and, you know, as things started to unfold, and I think as John saw this all coming together, you know, he said, okay, you know, let's take it all the way through the end of part 1, which, you know, it didn't make me feel any better, because that was now, it was, I think it was like 70 pages, but so much happened. I mean, to me, I was like going, great, we just got to get to the bridge, we'll find somebody who can do the bridge, and then we're done, and, you know, we'll go have a great summer. But then John was like, no, I've got to go all the way through. And that was very challenging for us, but it was really a very collaborative effort. And as we ran into issues about how we were going to execute things, you know, John was always, you know, let's go look and see how it was done in the book and try to be as faithful to the book as we could.
You know, that's a good point, though, to add on to that. It was, and I have not thought about it until you just asked that question. We thought, remember, that the ending would be after the love scene. Perfect time to end it. They go over the bridge, they have dinner, they have the love scene, and end part 1. but it would have been too short a film. It would not have had that impact of why were people leaving, what was happening to society. So you had to end it where Ayn Rand ended it when Alice Wyatt went on strike, and that was about $3–4 million more.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, it literally extended. It's interesting because we were trying to, making a movie is really just a function of time. And so that's just me.
And
just
money.
a function of time. Well, each day has a cost to it. And so John's right. I mean, it literally was like, how many more days would it take for us to finish this? And you looked at it and you go, well, everything else is pretty contained for the most part, except when you start driving around to Louisiana, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. And so, it's a real credit to the production team to be able to fit all of that in and only add a couple more $1 million of cost to John.
Well, let's, Mike Marvin, I know you were talking at the dinner table before about
You mean about Iwo Jima?
We were talking about Iwo Jima, yeah. We're having very light conversation at the dinner table, as you can imagine. We're laughing uproariously. We're sorry if we disturbed the rest of your conversation. But, Rotten Tomatoes, I looked before I came out here, Rotten Tomatoes, the movie review aggregator site, they said 5% of critics liked the movie, 85% of the audience did. Yeah. Can you put that in a context that also encompasses the yield so far, or the early indicators of the screen per, the average take per screen of the movie?
You mean in context of how well we've done?
Yeah. Tell us how the film is doing on a per screen basis.
The film is #1 in the country.
Here.
The director of the movie, Paul Johansson's wife, is having a baby, I think tonight or the next couple of days. But he sent me an email, and the email showed, I think it's Rio and a couple of other movies, and he put a LOL. And it was that, Atlas Shrugged for yesterday, Friday, was the #1 movie in the United States.
On a
period.
Per-screen basis. Oh, on period. Okay. And now, does it seem? It's amazing. And does it seem somehow in keeping that the critical reception might be mixed, but the audience response is huge? Because this seems like totally in keeping with Rand's reception, which is that there's something about her work that an audience gets that escapes the gatekeepers and the Wesley Mouches of the world, right?
Harry Reid.
And the Harry Reids of the world.
No, let's keep a...
I shouldn't have said it.
Let's keep a reasoned approach to this #1. Scream 4 and Rio have about 4,000 to 5,000 theaters nationally.
Yeah. Right.
We've got 300.
Right.
So remember, it's not the #1 movie, it's the #1
per screen.
Per screen.
Yeah.
And that could change tomorrow or by...
And it probably will, but the most important thing about that is that it doesn't matter if, you could say at 26 screens, you do 20,000 a screen, but what really matters is this isn't 26 screens. We're out on 277 screens, which is really, really important. That's the distinction, so yeah.
Matthew Marsden, you get to play one of the great villains in this piece.
Is he?
Right? Yeah, I think so. And clarify.
Hollywood, he's a hero.
Clarify for us too. You're not from around here, are you? Because some people were saying that's a speech impediment. I was saying no, it's an accent.
Hey, we ran the world before you guys did.
And you might be able to buy it very cheaply from us. What's it like? Your villain role is really one of the most delicious pieces in it. And what do you do to what do you do to tap into that and have fun with it without letting the fun show too much?
Well, I think that he's a complex character, and I was very lucky to have such a great script and kind of great characters written by Rand, which was fantastic. So all I had to do is really try and be as faithful to his ideals as possible. Obviously, for those, I think everyone in this room has probably read the book That I Don't Look Like. James Taggart, the way he is, he's more of a physical embodiment of what he believes in the book. But I should say, I just watched John Edwards. That's the short answer, really. I think.
Okay, we're gonna
go on, but that's the truth.
Good answer. Good answer.
we're gonna come to your questions, but I want John.
Talk about me some more.
Well, yeah, well, you really are just the actor. So. But I want to, John, clear up two rumors that have been floating around the interwebs before we turn it over to questions from the audience.
The musical.
John, well, actually, I was going to ask first, is it true that Jar Jar Binks is going to be written into
Jar Jar Binks.
But tell us about this this quote that's floating around that Part 3 will be a musical.
Look, I mean, all of you are on a corporate board, or you run a company, or you're involved, and you say out to your folks, hey, put out some ideas. No, there's no idea that's a bad idea. We may not use the idea and implement it, but it's an idea. And so the thought came about that Ayn Rand's one of her favorite authors was Victor Hugo. And how can you possibly make a musical from the serious, dark, gray, miserable, rainy Les Miserables? The title, Les Miserables, a musical? Get a life. Well, it just celebrated its 25th anniversary as a fabulous, serious musical. It wasn't, June is busting out all over. It's Les Miserables, but it had a place. So it is an idea. And then a friend of mine said, look, the way to get out of this is say it's marketing spin, and you'll get out of it.
Get out of
it. But, will it be a musical? I'm not going to say here tonight that it won't.
They're recording all this. Right there, that camera. I mean, this is...
But I will say this seriously. I would like to see a differentiation, a continuation, but a differentiation with 2 and a differentiation with 3. I think it'll be a better... It doesn't mean we're going to not adapt faithfully to what Ayn Rand's ideas were. But remember, cinema is entertainment, and you need to keep that fact in mind. So I don't know what the hell 2 and 3 is going to be like tonight, but we want to strive for creativity and promise.
All right, well, you guys are off to a flying start. Let's turn it over to the audience. And Amy, are you okay? Let's.
Okay. I was very impressed by all the images that were showing the bridge from above, the train going fast, etc. How much computer enhancing was involved, and how much was built in studio and just pretending it was a huge place. I'd like you to respond to that question.
Yeah. We shot they're called plates, and we shot everything you saw with the train was shot in plates, and then the train was digitally built into the shot. So it was a 50-50 deal. So half of it was done in plates, and the other half was done in what everybody understands now as CGI.
It was it's done by a company called Stargate, a local company. We met with them. John and I were very impressed with the owner of the company. He was very aware of the book and had not had many opportunities to work in motion pictures. And just like a lot of the people that came on to help us with the picture, I mean, they dug very, very deep into their creative talent. We put a lot of faith in what they did.
And a lot of pressure.
And we're just really proud of what they did. And they deserve a lot of credit. It far exceeded our expectations.
Can you guys also authoritatively state that you're not actually plants by Joe Biden and Barack Obama, and you're laying the ground, the cultural ground for a high-speed rail revolution? just saying.
I may have a nightmare about that.
Yeah. Well, you know who to blame.
That's good marketing. That's good marketing.
Okay.
I have a lot of chlorophyll.
Okay. More questions for the panel?
Question?
Oh.
Over here.
Right.
Do you want to know what they're serving in the club car on the railroad?
No, sticking on the train.
You can
thing.
flush while in the station, Adrian. Okay, let's get another question.
I live in a train town, in train country. There's a huge number of retired train workers in the little mountain town I live in, and I've actually seen track being replaced, and so I was blown away that the scene in the movie that showed the laying of the track, I've never seen a depiction that was real. I mean, whenever I've seen anything remotely touching on that, which isn't very often, it's been completely bogus. So, I mean, was there like a track laying job that you just went out and filmed, or did
No.
you actually, was that done for the movie?
No, what happened was we called Hasbro in the primary construction that builds those machines, and we asked them where the machines were being used in the United States, and one was being used in the Boston area, but they recommended that we go to the Union Pacific lines in Carlinville, Illinois, and it was all luck. We got there, I was telling Joan today that we got there, I was scheduled to start shooting that sequence on Friday, and so I got there on Thursday figuring that I'd give me plenty of time to prepare to shoot that sequence. Well, we saw the machines and all the crews and all these guys, and we said, I just asked these guys, all my crew hadn't even flown in from Los Angeles. One girl, our production coordinator, was coming in from Hawaii. And so we didn't have our whole crew together. And the guy said to me, we're finishing 3 weeks, this is our last day. And so we stopped it, we went to there was a Walmart right there. We bought ice packs to ice down the cameras, and we went immediately to work and started shooting that construction sequence, and that sequence went for almost 2 miles. They had machines and guys and things you can't even fathom.
In making a movie, there's so much bad luck. There's so much that is unexpected, unforeseen, and it happens.
Yeah.
Once in a while, you get lucky.
Yeah, and we got lucky.
And Mike was right there. He took advantage of it, and we got authentic, real.
It was the real. What you saw was the real deal track replacement.
Yeah.
And it was stunning.
Question back there.
Amy?
So obviously a lot of Rand's work involves long monologues that are very difficult to incorporate into a film medium. I'm wondering how you're planning to incorporate, especially in the later parts of the works that have longer monologues, work that message into the movie, and if you're not going to actually have 5-minute long monologues in there, if you're going to have the actors do things for you to use outside of the actual film, like you've been doing with the voicemails from various characters and things like that.
Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't, go to the Atlas Shrugged Part I website and check out the voice messages. I mean, that was brilliant. They have various characters leaving, telephone answering machine messages, which are really clever and insightful and a hell of a lot of fun. But how do you?
Let me just get a plug in there for Scott DeSapio, who Harmon brought on, which he has utilized online technologies unbelievably, like these things you're just referring to. And we have really gotten an awful lot of, marketing is not the right word, but awareness. And it just hits millions of hits with the trailer and on and on. We've really gotten the word out, and Scott DeSapio deserves a lot of credit.
What do you do about the radio address, or and then the money speech and other things? What's coming down the pike?
Well, the money speech is about 6 pages. We've got to get it under a page. And yet, that's a lot. I mean, a page of the book, and that's like 3 pages, maybe, of and that is going to be tough. But there's so much good stuff. And so, you know, on the one hand, you've got real filmmakers, and then you've got, you know, you've got an objectivist. You want someone that wants to say what Ayn Rand's message is, but you've got to have enough discipline to say no on one side and no on the other. On the one side, they want 6 pages of this money speech, which is brilliant. I mean, where he says that, you know, producers are trying to produce, and they need to get permission from those who produce nothing. I mean, there's brilliant sentences in there, and these guys are going to take it down to, you know, 4 or 5 words, and next, cut, move on, and but that's movie making. And then on the other hand, you got Gary Cooper. Ayn Rand got her way with Fountainhead, and I will not. My self-interest will be forever in the. And you can't do that. You know, it's a movie. So one of the things we're doing is we're not doing stuff like left wing, right wing. Conservative, progressive, Democrat, Republican. None of that stuff. It's about ideas anyway. And so we need to get 6 great pages of the money speech and other things. I don't even want to think about the gold speech in 60 pages. I mean, I just had dinner. Give me a break.
He's going to be singing.
Yeah, you're going to sing it. And so, no, so how do you get that down to 1 page? Well, we're going to do it. And there's some ideas. Again, this is like the musical. But I mean, the idea is perhaps it is Reardon's, it is Taggart's wedding. So it might be in a casino, and it might be that he's walking about. Maybe a chip falls, and a lady says, "Oh yeah, money is the root of all evil." And he says, "Excuse me, madam?" And so you're going to have bodily movement. That's the first thing that comes to mind. You can't just stand there and say, "No, money is the root of all good, and the virtue of money is." We're not going to do that. So it has to be where there's movement, and maybe someone else will say a few of the things. You know, it'll be a participative.
James Taggart.
I
think
he's
going to audition for Gold next. I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to chime in a few things. First off, I want to recognize, I brought up Matt Kibbe and Freedom Works, but also Alexander and Students for Liberty have been incredibly supportive to us. And he's another, big partner and friend. Also, I want to recognize that Brian O'Toole is a person who's, working right now on breaking down, the second part of the book. It's not an easy task. He's an incredibly hardworking guy. You saw him on the screen there.
Extremely intelligent.
And so they'll figure it out. But ultimately, it's a collaborative effort. And I think, as John said, really the key is to create banter that gets across the message.
Right. Amy?
Over here.
Yep. There you go.
My question is about the politics of Hollywood and how you ended up interacting with that in terms of the actors, all the many suppliers and companies. Did you have problems with getting people to, actively work on the film because of the generally left-wing politics of Hollywood?
Well, you want to talk?
Let me answer that first.
You're on film, by the way, so just be careful what you say.
Hi, Mom.
If you belong to a union, be careful.
The quick answer is no. There was no problems, none whatsoever, from on the broad strokes of all the posts and all the second unit and all the big shots you saw. None, zero, no politics came in.
All right. So I don't know where you were, but when we were casting, for example, when we were casting the movie, we got almost no support from the major talent agencies.
You're a casting agency. You are. And you've got a slate of 6, 8 great actors and actresses. You got a reputation. And some, Atlas what? And so you're not going to have your clients go, and then the production falls apart. And, I'm not going to go. I'm going to go to her now. So a lot of reputation was at stake by these professionals.
And, you can talk about it because you were there during the casting process, and sort of the level of courage and the risk that each one of you took to walk in and audition with Ronnie Eskel. You can tell people.
Well, You know, I'm an actor, so let me talk about me. I think that for me it was really easy because I recognize the importance of the message of the movie, and I think it was vitally important that the movie get made, and I was just very, very honored to even be considered to have a part in it. Unfortunately, that's not the case with everyone out there, and certainly you would get many people that would say, you know what, you don't want to do that because it's going to damage your career. And if anyone thinks that that's not true, that it is true. It absolutely is true.
Are you worried about that? I mean, in a way, you're in a position where if the movie's a big hit,
do you want a vanilla latte, or do you want? Because that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. No, but the other thing that I want to say is, and I don't think people really appreciate this, the difficulty in working with actors on the whole. I just want to go back to the other question, because actors, we're a nightmare. We always want to go and run with our emotions and do things with the material and be creative, which is a wonderful thing, but also with something like this, it's very difficult because you don't want to stray too much from the message. And these guys were on set every single day making sure that you guys got the movie that you saw. And this really is a testament to them, because it was exhausting. I saw them on a daily basis. And it really was a difficult process. And John and Harmon and all these guys, they played down, but it's a very, very difficult process to get the movie that you saw.
And it was a 6-week shoot, which is somewhat short for an hour and 40 minutes.
Very short.
And I would dare say there's not not five directors that had the energy and the persistence that Paul Johansson had. I mean, it was like 8 in the morning, you know, go to Hollywood Caters, get your eggs, and, you know, we're going to shoot at 9, and go to 1, 2 in the morning, and then get up at, you know, 7, maybe an hour earlier, go ahead and do that, maybe a break of 3 hours in the afternoon. You know, then it's a weekend, but we got to do one of those days. And I mean, it was an exhausting, high energy exercise to get this film made in terms of just the day-to-day shoot of 6 weeks.
Amy, are you out there?
We have another question right here.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that in the 70s, I was in Boston at the Ford Hall Forum, and I asked Ayn Rand what actress she had in mind for Dagny. And she said Katharine Hepburn, the way she played in Philadelphia Story.
That makes sense.
But I think that you chose an excellent actress, since it would be a little hard for her, Katharine Hepburn, to do it now. The hair color doesn't matter.
Well,
Thank you.
yeah.
Another question right over here.
What was the running time of part 1?
The film is about 100 minutes.
Okay, all right. And how much film did you shoot to do part 1? It must have been a lot.
Well, you know, what's interesting is when we started out, I mean, we had choices about how we would film the movie and what technology we would use. And you know, John wanted to use the best, most cutting-edge technology because that seemed sort of consistent with the spirit of the book. So we used what they call the red camera, which is a very high resolution camera with new technology. We had a couple of little hiccups with it. I don't know how much we used, but it is many, many, many hours of footage and many, many takes to get what you saw. I mean, the actors were literally cast. I think we called them on Thursday, and we started that Sunday. Okay, so they didn't have an opportunity to rehearse or sit down at a table and read or get the sort of direction that they wanted or fit it into the costumes or any of those things. So it was a very you know, expedited process. So during the course of filming, I mean, we went through it took a long time to capture what you saw. And I would say, I mean, what, 10 takes? You know, and then there would be 10 takes of this way, and then 10 takes of the other. And
what were the average takes? What were the average takes on scenes you were in?
Well, with me, only one. Well, no. And I actually read the book before I started filming.
Yeah, I'll have 2 vanilla lattes, please.
I know that, for example, Grant Bowler was filming 2 movies at the same time. He came over, filmed in Australia, and came and flew.
Yeah, on the 29th, he worked 2 days.
And
he
worked
came
2
back
days.
over the date line and worked for us.
And the other movie was the Che Guevara follow-up?
That's a good one.
And how long was post-production? How many weeks?
Well, post-production, for us, the film was completed on February 18th, and post-production starts immediately. But it's a very dynamic process because you're really discovering what you have. The director gets an opportunity without interference from John or me, and then based on our assessment of what that looks like, what is our next step, and so I think that was in mid-September, or let's say October.
October, around end
yeah,
of
so
October.
so October. Then John and I had then our opportunity. We brought Mike in to help express the story that we think it should have been expressed, and that process took us through the 18th. The music, for example, we didn't start that until January. That was a month.
A second unit director, Mike, had a lot of stuff out there, some of you saw.
To answer your question directly is, no film was shot on this picture. None. It was all done digitally with a red Mysterium. It's called the red camera with the Mysterium chip, and about 50% of all movies in Hollywood now are being shot that way, and probably 75% of television is shot. The new Aeroflex digital cameras are coming in. It's only a matter of time before there are no more movies shot in film.
Thank you. A correction to what Diana said. She says it was not Philadelphia Story. It was Katharine Hepburn in Bill of Divorcement, right? We have one more question over here.
I know it's a lot of decisions were made to make the film work, but I realized this afternoon that I had not heard what I call the Concerto of Deliverance, and I wondered if the reason it had been not put in was that you couldn't find or afford a composer that might actually be able to write such a wonderful tune.
I don't know. Oh, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't get the gist of the question.
Well, at the beginning of the film, the Concerto's playing. We just didn't even include that scene in the movie, so it didn't really fit in. It wasn't for the reason you described. It just wasn't part of the screenplay. So it was just a creative decision at the outset.
I'll answer that too. One of the things in a movie like this, and I've adapted a few movies, is it really, there's a lot of it's a lot of what isn't in there becomes a focus point. So you look at that, that's one of the things that isn't there. The salient points of the story are there. So you look at everything, and there's a lot of things that aren't there, and that's one of the things that was just sort of a creative decision that, I mean, we really sat and we thought it over, and we thought, is that more important than Dagny dealing straight away with
crash.
Yeah, at the beginning of the picture, the Eddie Willers and the Taggart scene. That is more important than whether the concerto, she hears that concerto. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we have time for one last question right over here.
I have so many compliments, I won't even begin. I love the sound. I could understand all of the dialogue, which is very unusual in today's film. I have a question, and you may not have an answer yet, but it's accompanied by a great wish that at some point you will release a director's cut with some of the scenes that those of us who wish that it could have been longer and you could have filmed more will be included.
Can I answer this?
The irony for this film is that the cut you saw is longer, actually, than the director's cut. Yeah, we actually, when John and I and Mike, looked at what had been delivered to us, we felt that there was ways to open the film up. and we thought that that was important to do. There was a lot of things that we added in there. So I hate to tell you, what you see pretty much is what's there. I don't think we have left out any scenes. I mean, as we sit up here, you know, one of the conversations that John and I, you know, have are other scenes that we wish we could have filmed to put in there. There's a lot of, just as he mentioned, there's a lot of really great, meaningful moments in the book that just from the pure practical nature, and that at some point we needed to stop pre-production of the movie, which that stopped 3 days before we ended filming. So we were constantly looking at what we could get in with the resources we had. So in the scramble of making the film, that's it. And then we did expand it out with, what, 3 weeks more of shooting afterwards to create a lot of the beauty that you see.
Yeah, and I think the liberties that we really took were, as you saw in the beginning of the movie, the CNBC stuff, to give people a real, in the moment, what's happening now. You know, what are we concerned about? The budget deficit, it's crazy, the debt and the whole bit, and where we are. The market in 2009, and I think March hit the bottom, 6,600. So, you know, we needed to give you immediately take people in, and then at the end we needed to be sure that we adapted faithfully to the book, but not just, you know, there's the sign, take it and leave it. I'm leaving it. It had to be an emotionalism. And one bright person, I don't know if they're here, but I have to say it because they're there. They picked it up, and there was a little bit of borrowing in terms of Going with the Wind and Tara, because that emotionalism was brought out. And I don't have any, I mean, I don't need to say, I'm not going to hide that or cover it. We really did want to get some emotionalism out of it. So having Dagny, but it's in the book. That scream, Ayn Rand said in there, it was a scream she never knew that she had within her, or something like that. So you have that scream, then you've got the music coming in, Galt's theme, and the waste of it all. They're just about to start the second Renaissance, and then...
Thank you. Can you tell us...
I'd like to ask one last question, take the prerogative here. The movie's going great. What can we expect looking forward? Right. Yeah. What is your vision? What is your dream for where we go from here?
I'm going to let him answer the question. I just want to get in a few, two important things. One is, yeah, I want to recognize June, John's wife, very instrumental, because she really kicked Joan. Pardon me, Joan. I'm thinking when we started production. Joan sent John out to Hollywood and said, you know, go make this. And I really think that was the kick in the pants he needed. And really has been you know, a big part of making this happen. The other thing is, what really needs to happen for us, and then John can answer the question, is in order for this film to succeed now, I mean, we got enormous support from Reason and in getting the word out. Now we need word of mouth. We need people to go tell other people about the movie. That is the best, strongest, most persuasive form of marketing. So if the movie inspired or moved you, or you believe somebody should see it, now is not the time to be shy. Now is the time to tell them to go see it, or the theaters will move us out for something else. If people go and see the movie, it will stay in the theaters, and we can really inspire and reach a very, very large audience.
They're ready to cut.
Okay, go ahead.
Ready to do a cut.
So let me part two on
so to answer David's question, so the aspiration is that April 15th, 2012, we will bring out part 2, and part 3, April 15th, 2013.